Welcome to Art Night.
Welcome to Art Night. We're really glad you're here.
Hi everyone, welcome to Art Night Bristol Warren. My name's Amy Armstrong and I'm a member of the board. Thanks for coming.
Hi everyone, my name is Geraldine Purcell. Welcome to Bristol Warren Art Night, July 2020.
Hi, Elwood Donnelly here. Welcome to Art Night Bristol Warren.
Hi, it's Mike, and welcome to Art Night.
Welcome to Art Night.
Welcome to Art Night.
Julio Amaro. Hotpoint presents Andrew Nassar and Richard Bradley. Kendall Reiss Gallery and Studio presents Andy Pepper and Kristin Street. Sprout CoWorking presents Robin Hogg. Jordan Scriven. Jeanne Keller. MorganEve Swain. Jeanne Raimondi. Judi Guild. Inkfish Books. Moontide Dyers. Rosemary's School of Dance. IMAGO Gallery presents Eileen Mayhew, David Pinkham, Mike Summers, Howard Rotblat-Walker, Paul Rocha, Cindy Daniels. We hope you'll enjoy the evening.
Hi guys, it's Amy Armstrong again, and I'm sure you're familiar with this image by Shepard Fairey called Rhode Island Angel of Hope and Strength. This piece was created to celebrate healthcare workers, but also serves as a symbol that unifies Rhode Islanders during this pandemic. Art Night Bristol Warren would like to take the idea a step further. We invite you, your family, and your friends to participate in a project that we're calling Together. Together we'll take Shepard Fairey's image and it will break it into segments. We'll then hand out these segments and ask you as a community to adorn each piece with your personal, unique flair. Once complete, please drop off at one of two locations where they will be married with their counterparts and displayed at the next month's Art Night. To participate, either email me, amy.h.m.armstrong@gmail.com, or simply stop by Hotpoint Emporium in Bristol or Made in Warren Artist Cooperative in Warren between August 1st and August 10th to pick up a kit or two. Really, you can do more than one if you want. That would be great. Kits will include a section of the image plus an info sheet so that we can identify you as the artist and the town where you live. Please be bold with your creation. Use any material or medium you see fit. You can use markers or paint or collage, nails or fishhooks, really whatever suits your style. Please just make sure that it can hang on the wall. All pieces must be dropped off at Hotpoint Emporium or Made in Warren by August 10th. Together, we will document how, as a community, we can come together, despite this difficult time, to create something beautiful. Can't wait to see what you can do. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Julio Amaro. I want to thank Bristol and Warren's Art Night for inviting me to be part of this event, a virtual event. I'm very happy, and some of you know me, and I thank you for your support. And I am here at this beautiful space, which is Cindy Daniels' studio. So I'm going to play a song now that I composed a few years ago. It's called Agreement. It's conceived on the concept of agreeing, even if it is to disagree. I hope you like it.
When considered in proximity to the landscape, the term emergent can summon visions of spring, verdant sprigs and buds bursting forth, on the cusp, full of potential. Yet emergent can equally represent that which is timely, of the moment, or in crisis. Though the concept for this exhibition came about long before COVID-19, the use of the word emergent as a title, sadly but aptly, addresses the current state of affairs both here in the US and globally. As the COVID pandemic continues to surge and the fight for racial justice wages on, the environment here on planet Earth is also critically at risk. The two artists in this exhibition, Andy Pepper and Kristin Street, both actively work within the conceptual framework of that which is environmentally emergent. For Kristin Street, this occurs through her intuitive, symbiotic relationship to material. Her work represents a lifelong investigation of form, structure, and connection. In this series, her two-dimensional and installation works reference bodies of water. Estuarian atmospheres serve as harbingers of sea level rise, spurred by our warming climate. In Andy Pepper's work, emergence takes on a distinctly different tone in terms of materiality, yet one that communicates conceptually with Kristin's examination of our Anthropocene environment. Andy's sculptures emote an air of science fiction, natural history, and queer ecologies. Images of natural landscapes are digitally rendered and woven with recycled materials to create hyper-real, site-specific installations that map and trace the movement of his own body through numerous national and state parks, including Colt State Park in Bristol. Kristin and Andy's works remind us of the delicate balance between nature and artifice, growth and decay. They beg us to pay closer attention, to observe with curiosity and wonder, and to question our own impulses, our decisions, and the things we too often ignore.
I'm a visual artist who works instinctively, drawing inspiration from physical materials and through association with nature and surrounding stimuli. With the invitation to be part of this two-person show, I traveled around Bristol, taking in the natural surroundings, studied some of the history, and thought about the connections between those two bodies of information. What struck me was the intimate relationship between nature, beautiful sunsets, waterways, and shoreline, and the impact of man-made materials used in manufacturing in the area, boat-building materials such as resin, fiberglass, and specifically rubber. Delicate ink washes, tracery lines, and marks denoting migration and travel are captured within thin layers of resin, bouncing light in a manner similar to the sun reflecting off the surface of the water in many of the pieces shown here. The window installation, Captured Boundaries, conveys the essence of many salt marshes, shoreline, and rocky shores surrounding Bristol. The introduction of layer-covered rocks and skins reference the rubber factories that were an important part of Bristol's history and again touches on the connection between nature and artifice.
Hi, I'm Andy Pepper, and I'm here to talk about my work in Emergent at Kendall Reiss Gallery and Studio. Specifically, I wanted to talk about a piece called Oricarian. Now, this piece is made up of several parts, but the main part is a sort of circular sculptural piece. On one side, it looks kind of like a big blue pearl, and on the other side, it is sort of covered in a kind of a network of curly material. It's actually lawn chair webbing, vintage lawn chair webbing. what this piece actually is, on one side, it's an altered photo of a site photo I took on a visit to Petrified Forest National Park. The other side, the lawn chair webbing, I think works well with this in conversation because on the one hand, we have an image of a tree that fell hundreds of millions of years ago. This tree was a living thing, and it fell, it died, it was preserved, and over time it turned into rock. Lawn chair webbing, on the other hand, was also a petroleum product and was produced by these trees and plants millions of years ago. So I like to put together things like this that have these strange conversations because overall my work is about the relationship between queerness and wild places like Petrified Forest National Park. So by altering a photo of one of these places to sort of emphasize its otherworldliness, I think that's an interesting way to begin to talk about that relationship with queerness. And then adding other materials that have been transformed to that conversation, I think only adds to that.
This exhibition and video are created at a time when issues of racial injustice are at the forefront of our consciousness. As a local, community-based art gallery located in Bristol, Rhode Island, it is our responsibility to acknowledge the deeply complex and challenging history of this land. We wish to recognize the town of Bristol, Rhode Island as a settler colonial project located on the unceded territory of the Wampanoag and Pokanoket Indigenous nations. We also wish to recognize that the town of Bristol and its residents benefited both politically and financially from the economies of slavery. We stand in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We will continue to actively and constructively dismantle systemic racism, confront white privilege and white supremacy, and fight for racial, social, and environmental justice in our community and beyond.
Hi, my name is Jordan Scriven. I am 14 years old and I live in Warren, Rhode Island. I will be showing two pieces and we're going to start with this one. This is a pencil piece that I did with just pencil and a white pen. So I'm going to show the tools that I use. The pencils that I use vary, so it depends on what I'm doing. So if I want to go with something really light, I start with these two pencils, specifically my 5B pencil, and then this is slightly darker, it's 7B, and then I also have my darkest, which is 8B. It's very dark and it's very good for shading and contouring for the face. And I also have, which is what I use for sketches and a lot of filling in, is my Prismacolor 14420 pencil. For blending, I use this tool. It's made of paper. It's hard paper, kind of wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. When you look at a picture of a person, you look at their eyes first, and then it may go to other places afterwards. But always, I focus very hard on the eyes here. They're very important to me. And the next thing I like to focus on is the nose. I go from the eyes to the nose and then to the mouth. The nose and the mouth I do at the same time, kind of go back and forth to get this proportional and equally shaded. And then I do the forehead is last for me. I always, for some reason, don't do the forehead until last. But I do the neck and I do the cheekbones and I do some part of the ear. And then I work on the hair. So the hair is very quick. It looks like I did a bunch of lines and it looks like it took a very long time. But it actually didn't. When I'm making hair, it is a very simple process and does not take a lot of time. When I'm looking for inspiration to start a drawing or a piece or whatever it is, I always go on Pinterest. Now I have multiple boards that I save a bunch of images that I like to use as reference. So I have a board full of my cartoons. I like to use cartoons. And then I have one of just people that I find interesting and that I think I want to draw or paint. This picture right here, I actually have inspiration for. I mostly base it off the original picture, but then I kind of put the picture down and do my own thing, like add different eyelashes, different hair. There's a lot of different things I do with that.
So here is the reference I used for my first piece.
Also, it takes me a very long time to decide what I'm going to paint or going to draw because I'm very indecisive. When I want to commit to something, I'm always super picky about what it's going to be because I want to be able to draw something that I enjoy drawing and that I really am interested in. Otherwise, it's not going to be as fun and not as and I probably won't end up finishing as smoothly. One last thing that I do, which is always the finishing touch of any portrait I do with pencil or pen, I always go in with this gel pen. You can't really see it, it's a jelly pen and it's white. So you can go over pencil and it makes these really nice white touches. So that's normally what I do for the eyes. As you can see, it looks really white in some areas that you're thinking, wow, did you do that with an eraser? No, I didn't. I use this gel pen, which is very handy and I suggest it's a very great thing to get. With this piece, I took a very long time on this. With the other piece, I only took about an hour and a half to make, but I'm very proud of it. I don't normally go back to old paintings that I did or old pictures and revise it unless it's like a long time from when I did it. But with this one, I did a completely different picture the first time. The next day, I came back to it and I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. So I redid the entire face and I made it completely different. I changed all the shading with the colors of the face and I added a flower crown, I fixed the hair. And I definitely also moved the nose a bit and I moved the mouth. And I didn't really touch the eyes as much because the eyes, for some reason, I actually wasn't that focused on the eyes in this. I don't know why. I actually more focused on the overall picture this time because I figured the more color I do, the more different places your eyes will be drawn to. So I thought it'd be more important to get in other places. I did not use a reference for the flower crown because with the flower crown, I kind of already knew what I was doing for that. But I did have a reference for the overall picture. It was a celebrity, her name's Elle Fanning, and she is an actress in Maleficent. She's the princess, and I used her as inspiration. I had a really fun time with that. The problem is when I get into a painting is that a lot of the times I don't go back to it. I kind of do it once for 1 to 2 hours, and then I put it down, and I'm like, all right, it's finished. But with this one, I'm really happy I didn't do that because I wanted to go back and revise it because I knew it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Bye, thank you so much for watching.
Hi, friends and neighbors. Thanks for tuning into Art Night. My name is MorganEve Swain from the bands Brown Bird and the Huntress and Holder of Hands. And I'm going to play a song for you. And it's a new one, and it's called Beasts We Are. How strange it is that we walk upright on our legs. Why don't we topple over with the weight of our heads? We treat the earth as a thing to own, a beast to break. What gave us the notion life is ours to take? We're animals of intellect, but beasts we are. We try sometimes to turn, but now we've gone too far. We hunt the seas for the resources we think we need. Avert our greedy eyes as every dune recedes. We think we learn and progress, we've got the story wrong. We've always forced our hand in lands we don't belong. Addicted to asserting our perceived power. We'll enslave anything, human or beast or fowl. But mama, the ghosts are out tonight. Mama, they'll bring us towards the light. Mama, the wolves are at the door. Mama, what are they hungry for? Enslaved to something just a bit contained by acres of the soul, relying on the rain to quench their thirst for thought, explore the unexplained. It's work and won't understand the ever named. And mama, we've had the story wrong. Mama, we wrote the story wrong. Mama, we taught the story wrong. Mama, don't get this story wrong. Mama, 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 mama. Thanks so much for listening. Bye. Hey there, everyone. MorganEve here again. Thanks so much for tuning back into Art Night Bristol Warren. Hope you sit back and enjoy the rest of our virtual event.
We are here at ReMax River's Edge at our new location at 423 Hope Street. And we are here with Jeanne Raimondi. She is showing her beautiful artwork, her impressionistic and abstract artwork here at our location. So welcome, Jeanne. Thank you so much for showing with us. You're so welcome. We're so pleased to have you. I just wanted to start off by asking you, what is some of your background, your educational background?
I was a fine arts major way back when. I did a lot of commercial art, but then I morphed into an education background. I was always an art student, from the time I started as a child. So my love of art is here. I'll show you. This is probably my very early pieces where I used to paint photorealistically, where all the details and very minimal brush strokes that are obvious and small brushes. And then I quickly morphed into more impressionistic, and then journeyed into abstraction.
Is there a particular medium that you most prefer to work with?
Well, traditionally I'm an oil painter, and I love oil paint because it affords beautiful richness, and that's what the masters used. So I feel like I'm traditionally an oil painter. However, when I started journeying into abstraction and impressionism, I needed to have something that dried quickly, and or adding layers and textures, and that's where I do use a lot of acrylic paint, and I do that mostly at home in a studio. This is a new painting, and this I titled Forest Through the Trees. It's multi-layered, a lot of texture, and of course it is acrylic water media, actually multimedia. So I really like this painting, and I've done a lot of different colors here, but I basically use three colors as my base. So, you know, I've got an orange and I've got terre vert. I've mixed with, you know, white and a little bit of black to give me more depth. This one is called Hidden. This is a painting that is very emotional to me. It was very emotional. It has a lot of hidden meaning, and there's some writings underneath that are barely visible. But it's multi-layered. It is acrylic with some found objects in a collage. So this, it's an important painting to me. This one is called Sahara. This was great. This painting was in a national championship for Rhode Island Watercolor Society 2 years ago. I think it was their 23rd national championship. And it is all handmade papers. And that is kind of challenging, but it turned out to be something that I really love. This one is called The Gathering. This was a journey. I used the papers, and I found that it turns itself into figures, and I just kind of embellished the figures. And it is water media, and a lot of layers, and a lot of different gels. But this also was this has won a couple of awards. I really enjoyed this. My inspiration for this was an earlier painting where I have these three divas dressed in evening gowns, and they were so strong and confident, and they were just beautiful. And I felt that they had a lot of solidarity, and that's what this represents to me. The women who are together, and it's solid, and they're supporting each other. So this is another representation of handmade papers, and of course, water media. This here is muted gold, and I used a cruciform design. It has glass beads, it has fiber paste, it has clear tar gel. If you look closer to it, you'll see that there is a lot of texture, layer upon layer upon layer. Again, this kind of moves in, and it's a very busy area here, and you have a nice quiet resting spot. And I used a lot of splatter. I splattered this painting a bit. I really like it. This painting was in the style of Turner. It is, of course, it's impressionistic painting, and it is a plein air painting. I love the warmth this generates with this piece. This is called Triad of Color. And I guess it's sort of a impressionist painting, but it also moves into abstraction. And these kind of look like flowers, but they're really not. I started out, I had this beautiful begonia plant, and this is a begonia plant that I used. I took a photograph for you, and I decided to use those colors, which I call triad of colors. It's manganese blue, it is quinacridone magenta, and quinacridone gold, azo gold. So that, of course, was mixed with, used white, and I used a little black to kind of give us some depth, but it just kind of morphed into this. And I really love this painting. I guess it sort of defines me that I'm dipping my toe into abstraction, but I still love Impressionism. This one is called Purple Feathers. Actually has won at least 2 or 3 awards, so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of Triad of Color. That has also won several awards. These are the hydrangeas from my garden, and flowers that, you know, they were placed in the sun, and these pots kind of jumped out at me, and I think I named it Place in the Sun. Of course, these are sailboats, but plein air, you have to be really quick and sketch out your painting right away because the boats move a lot. So that is called Windsong.
And I know that you take some inspiration from some of your travels. Could you show us a few examples of those?
Sure. Yeah. This is Melanie. She's shelling, and she's in Sanibel at the time. She had no idea that somebody was taking a photograph for her or painting. I went on a painting trip last April to San Miguel, Mexico, with several other artist friends. So this is the Posada de Aldea, and we sat in the garden and we had lunch, and we decided that, I think that's a great spot to paint. So I just painted that little bell tower, that little chapel. This is in Italy. This is the town where my family comes from, and it's the Abbey of San Vincenzo. It's in Rocchetta al Valtorno. So this is just when the poppies were coming out, and you could see the tower of the abbey in the background and the mountains behind it. But it was a great day because the clouds were very fluffy and bright. The sunlight was great because it shone on the poppies, and it made it an interesting painting. This also is from Italy, and this is in Castello di Novo. My 2 cousins and I were buying flowers at a flower shop just about here. And I just hung back a little because I saw this gentleman going underneath, not a tunnel, but it was the wall, because it's a walled city. And I decided to hang back, snapped a photograph, and I quickly went back to the house and I did this painting. But I just love the way it travels, the path he's taking, and the sun and the clouds through it, the light. You know, I think I captured the light on that one. I really like that painting. This one is in San Miguel. This is the Institute of Art there, and spend the afternoon painting. And I chose this location, which overlooked most of the city. And this is the Basilica Parroquia. It's a big, huge, enormous church that is right in the jardín, it's in the gardens. And this was very challenging to paint. I love the way it turned out, and I enjoyed painting this very much. And I enjoyed painting in Mexico. This one is Sanchez Point, very close to where we are, and it's overlooking Second Beach. That's where St. Michael's Church would be, somewhere up there. But I love the flowers and the colors and the paths. Paths really are important to me. So I kind of have a lot of paintings that have paths, because I guess I'm taking a journey, and I feel I'm following my own path.
So we are back in front of the Triad of Color. We wanted to give her a big thank you for showing her work here. We're so delighted to have you, and we just wanted to know if there was anything else you'd like to add.
Oh, I'm so appreciative to be here. This is, I think, my 4th or 5th time showing at ReMax, and this is the new location, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Hi, my name is Judi Guild and I am a local Bristol painter, and tonight I'm going to show you some of my work which is local and coastal. This, of course, being Bristol Harbor from the water. And this is a scene of the very industrial looking waterfront harbor master's building with a little peek at the mill behind. Beautiful reflections in the water. I love painting reflections. And this was a COVID painting. I, like so many other artists, had a hard time painting during this period, and I was seeking some calm, and this painting certainly brought that. A little peek at Papa Squash with a classic wooden boat in front. And this is a red dinghy I have painted a number of times, and mostly it had a very gray background and the boat certainly did jump out, but I've been playing with color and actually quite enjoying the results, so I may continue to try to have fun with that subject matter. And talk about fun, I was at the docks walking one morning a few weeks ago and I came across this absolutely gorgeous catboat, and I said to myself, I am definitely going to be painting that, and enjoyed the process. And Bristol, of course, a sailing town. Sometimes the waters are rough. The boats are often classic. Races go on so many times a week. The skies during those evening hours get warm and wonderful. And as the day gets later, they get even more brilliant. And this is just a classic scene we have from the waterfront in town. That beautiful turquoise fishing boat, the colorful buildings, St. Michael's Church. It sure comes together as what I would call picture perfect. And I'm going to end tonight with another boat that when it arrived in town I was very excited about. That turquoise fishing boat. So very paintable. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
Here's another composition from a recent period. It's called She Danced For Me. Short version. Hope you like it.
everyone, and welcome to the July Bristol Warren Art Night event. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Lisa Valentino. I am the owner of Inkfish Books on Main Street in Warren. I hope everyone is doing really well. I wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits of reading and particularly how it can help in times like these when things can seem very chaotic. Reading has always been a source of knowledge, but it can also reduce stress. It can sharpen your mind, your imagination. It can connect you globally, create empathy. There's just an amazing array of benefits that you will receive if you read. And if you're an avid reader, you probably already know that. So I wanted to take you through some of the most popular books in recent months here at Inkfish. And no matter what you're reading, whether it be fiction, nonfiction, poetry, it's all a way to improve your body, your mind, and your soul. So keep reading and the world will open up to you. So some of the favorite fiction books here at Inkfish Books are Storm of Secrets. This is by Loretta Marion and she lives in Bristol. Excellent writing, really great story. It takes place in Cape Cod and there's a storm happening, a hurricane-like storm. A little boy disappears and there's other things that are going on in this small community with a host of characters that are amazing. This is a great escape, mystery, thriller category, and you will absolutely love it. Another really fun read is Una, Out of Order. Very different type of book here, and it was a book group pick by Good Morning America. It is by Margarita Montemor, and this story is about living your life but out of order. So Una is 18 and she ends up in her 53-year-old life and body. It was just interesting to see how relationships developed and situations in life when you're not living it right through each moment, but bouncing back and forth. Really fun read. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Great escape if you need it. Also, we have The Giver of Stars. This is by Jojo Moyes, and this is another extraordinary story about women during the Depression era time in Kentucky. And it's at a time where Eleanor Roosevelt has called out to volunteers for a traveling library. So they actually delivered books back then, and the story revolves around that. Beautifully written, and again, another good escape into a different time. We also have some nonfiction selections. Now, some of you actually want to read about the 1918 pandemic, and some of you don't. But if you do want to explore what went on during that time, this is a great book to do it with. It's The Great Influenza, and it's by John N. Barry, who is local. We also have a very, very popular book here at the store, and it's God, War, and Providence, and it's by James Warren. And this is about the epic struggle of Roger Williams and the Narragansett Indians. Really well-researched, put together, awesome read. So if you like history, this is perfect for you.
Welcome to IMAGO Gallery's Virtual Art Night Bristol Warren exhibit for July 2020, featuring 4 IMAGO artist members: Eileen Mayhew, David Pinkham, Howard Rotblat-Walker, and Mike Summers.
My name is Eileen Mayhew. I'm an artist member for IMAGO Foundation for the Arts. I will always be a realist painter, but in this new series I am flirting with abstraction. Have you ever looked at the landscape from an airplane window? It looks abstract to me. So while maintaining my integrity as a realist, I am playing with these abstract images. I call this my aerial series. They are actual places that have meaning for me. While turning the image on its head, I am experimenting with abstract painting elements.
This Icelandic waterfall does have a name, but it is typical of the names of places, cities, mountains, rivers, etc. in Iceland. This American can't pronounce it. Unlike most waterfalls in Iceland, this one is not created by melting ice from a glacier. It comes to the surface from an underground aqueduct. In a country where black, from volcanic remnants, and white, from glaciers, are the 2 most prominent colors, I found this particular waterfall, surrounded by fall-like colors, to be magical.
Dusk is the second of 3 images in a series that I call the Quotidian Cycle. It is a digital composition combining a photograph of a mural painted on the stucco ceiling of a building underpass in Paris, France, for the foreground, with a picture that I took of a textured aluminum surface for the background. The 3 images in the Quotidian Cycle are intended to capture the transition of light across the same scene throughout the day. In each image, I altered the color characteristics of the image, changing both the foreground and the background until I had what I imagined as noon, dusk, and late night or nocturne. What I found interesting was that with each change, I also needed to do a lot of different layer masking in order to bring out the characteristics of the foreground and background to represent the different times of day. Digital compositions can be a challenge, but with a lot of attention to detail, I was able to get what I had in my imagination.
My encounters with nature are personal, and that is what I hope my photographs about nature, taken in nature, are as well. They are about an encounter, an experience, an individual event. Break Information is one of those series, one of those images that captures a personal event for me. But it was taken out in public and in nature, under a beautiful sky, on a trek out to a lighthouse on Campobello Island in New Brunswick. Here on the rock was this formation of plant life. It was unusual because it seemed to be symmetrical until the break in the plant life, when possible wave actions disrupted how it was crawling across the rock face. It is a beautiful photograph in some ways because it captures a depth of color, even though it seems very monochromatic. That's what I like about Break Information. It is a personal, individual experience that I had with nature that somehow seems universal, because again, it is individual. Breaking Information.
Thank you for viewing IMAGO's virtual outdoor art night event. To learn more, visit our website where you will find contact information. You can also view a gallery of IMAGO member art, information about upcoming and past exhibits, as well as links to our members' individual websites. We want to thank Art Night Bristol Warren for hosting this event. We hope you support Art Night, and also we hope you support local artists and buy art. IMAGO Gallery will reopen to visitors on August 1st. Visit our website for details about hours. Visits are also available by appointment.
Hi there. Welcome to Art Night Bristol Warren, July 2020. My name is Paul Rocha. I'm a songwriter who lives in Warren, and I'm going to play you a song that I wrote a couple of years ago. It's one of those crazy ballads about a condemned serial killer, you know the ones, who wants to get one more in under the wire, and it's kind of like you know, those crazy women who fall in love with crazy guys in prison. You know, the ones who take the dangerous guy just a little too far. Anyway, it's called One Last Lie. Now somewhere down in Arkansas, in a doleful, dusty field, where all my dirty secrets, save one, will be revealed. His honor and the preacher man say my wretched fate is sealed. Would you pray for me? Won't you pray for me? While being as me as I can be, I ask you but for you. Let the stars bear witness to our fatal rendezvous. Swear how much you love me, even if it isn't true. Would you lie to me? Will you lie with me? 'Cause I know of ripe Elysian fields where passion's seeds are sown, where lover's breath clings to the neck and sweat drips off the bone, where we can go together, thy devils will be done. Will you come for me? Will you come with me? With good intentions in my heart, I ask you for your hand. I promise you from this day forth, I'll be the perfect man. The reasons I do what I do, you'll never understand. Will you sleep with me? Go to sleep for me. childhood friend, and I, the perfect host. A regime of drunken uncles, first propped up, then soon deposed. Will you play with me? He said, play with me. Now violence is like my great-granddad's Swiss Army knife, handed down through generations, my pocket device. Suspicion is my bastard child, with fear my devoted wife. Will you marry me? Ah, come on and marry me. I've had a little slice of heaven and a thicker slab of hell. Filleted the soul of the innocent, and I tipped the waiter well. Aggression is my royal suite at the volatile hotel. Will you stay with me? Forever stay with me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Do it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to my studio at 412 Thames Street in Bristol. This is not a self-portrait. However, it is the Langer monkey from Vietnam, and I was just so amazed at the coloring of it. That's its actual coloring, purple and red, and the bright yellow that I just decided I wanted to paint it. Normally what I paint are things from the bike trail or from my hiking. So for example, this one above here is a, this is oil and oil pastel, and it's from the bike trail, and it really made me happy as I'm biking along and I see these various images come out on the trail. I'll try to get a little bit closer to zoom in on some of the figures that are in there. They're very subtle, because ideally I'd like to surprise you, but for example, this is a one right here where there's an eyebrow, nose, and a mouth, and then there's others. There's like the little golden Buddha right there. So they just, I don't really plan them. The photograph suggests them, and then I kind of let the medium that I'm using, whether it's the pastel, oil pastels, or the paints, I try to let them be free to wander around the painting. So there's a lot of my paintings hanging on the wall, and I'll go through a couple of them to give you an idea of where I got some of my inspiration. But I work in oils, and often sometimes I'll use mixed media, whether it's cold wax or pastel, oil pastels, colored pencils. All this helps me to get the effects that I want to get. I use the computer to work from photographs. That will be the inspiration of the painting. Right now I'm working on this painting right here. That's the photograph of it. And the painting is over here. I just put a varnish coat on it. Hopefully you can see it. So it has to lie flat right now to dry. This painting was from a walk in Cold State Park, and it makes me particularly happy because it's just a path, but then it was like the spirit of the path. The light brown that you see here, it became a woman's mouth, her nose, her eye, the shape of her head. And that was just how the photograph that I took when I was right there hiking suggested itself in the painting. This is a favorite oil painting, and it was at Water's Edge again. It was taken while I was biking, and the suggestion of someone looking back at me came out in the painting, and that's really what nature does for me. It's like I'm watching nature and nature is watching me. Here's another example of nature watching me as I'm watching nature. Taken while biking. I got off at some reflecting body. I can't remember where this was right now. And oftentimes what happens when I'm looking at nature is it's just not one figure that's looking back at me, but it's really, it shows the interconnectedness of all things. There's usually at least two figures connected. In this one, you could see almost a profile where this would be the lips, the nose, the eyes. And on this side, it could be like almost like as if it was a person with a profile in white, whereas this is the more colored version on the other side. This painting that you see before you came from this photograph from the bike trail. And it was very, very interesting doing it because all these figures started to present themselves. And when I paint, it's in various stages of the painting. It's like, oh boy, what do I keep and what do I paint over? That's always the challenge because it's so, I'm really fascinated with brush stroke and texture. This painting, I'm sorry I don't have the photo to show you where it came from, the inspiration, but it was when I was biking by Haynes Park. There's a little pond in the woodland, and as I went down to catch the reflections in the water, which I love to do, this it's like this maiden presented herself to me, and so I brought her out a little bit. Sorry for the glare. See if I can. But you can see the suggestion of lips right here. There's a bit of a nose and two eyes, and then the suggestion of her body staring back at me. Always, when you look at nature, I believe nature is looking back at you. A real fun piece came from this photograph, and this photograph is actually my pizza pan, which I'll show you in a minute. Here's the pizza pan. And it doesn't look like anything. But I had washed it, and in the sunlight, and I don't have that sunlight now, nor do I have the wetness that was on the pan when I first saw it, but you can almost see how there's a suggestion of something happening. And now we'll go to the painting that actually came from this. And here you have the painting. I love this painting because of what inspired it. It was just so unexpected. And this is how I feel life is. If you really look at your surroundings, it doesn't matter what you're looking at. You can look at a pizza pan, you can look at a piece of wood, any kind of a scene, and things suggest themselves. What really gets me excited about art is when I'm looking at it and figures appear and disappear. So it's almost like watching a very slow motion movie. how the images change as you go around the picture. This is a favorite painting. Sorry I don't have the photograph that it came from, but again, it's probably Brickyard Pond and when I was biking. But what I find so interesting about it is the figures that presented themselves. I feel that there's several figures on the left part of the canvas. One reminds me of Donald Duck, the bright yellow like duck bill with a maybe an orange helmet hat on the left side, but that morphs into maybe a woman with golden blonde hair that morphs into a woman just sitting pensively along the water with her hand, her elbow and her hand is towards her chin, and that would be this as if this area right here, and then this would be the suggestion of her face. And then there's another face that comes off with that. So in my paintings, there are multiple detail to look at that if you just look at it superficially, you'll miss it. And again, that expresses my philosophy of life. I feel that we live in such a distracted world. We're all multitasking. We have no time to focus and to really see the beauty of what's around you. You just really need to be in the present moment and focus on what's in front of you. So this was a very fun piece to make. It came from Brickyard Pond, a photograph as I was biking. And what I love about this piece is the various figures that appear and disappear as you go over the canvas. To the left, there's this large figure which begins at the bottom here and works its way. But then there's what's more obvious, I think, to the viewer, is right in the center here, you have what is like a mouth and then two eyes. So and what's interesting I find as I look at nature is there's usually a female and a male component, and they're engaged in some sort of relationship. Nature is subtle. So they're quiet and they're, I believe, just exchanging their essence. This piece, oil painting, was taken from when I was out in Westport. It's one of the wetlands with a little stream through it. My favorite part of this painting, what it reminded me of when I took the photograph is it reminded me of the face of a woman in profile. But then as I was working on the painting, things always suggest themselves. And so my favorite part is right here. It reminds me of the profile. Here's the little nose right there, as if it was the profile of a Buddha meditating. And then you could even think of this as a profile. There's all these little things that appear. It's the subtleties. It's always the subtleties. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of some of my paintings.
Hope you all enjoyed tonight's events. I just want to say thank you to Lauren and Jetty and Uriah Donnelly for making this all possible. We wouldn't be able to have a virtual art night without them. They do such a great job. Also, thank you to Applied Plastics Technology for sponsoring tonight's events. And I want to remind everyone to please join us next month, August 27th, the last Thursday of the month, for our final art night of the season. I think it's going to be a good one, so I hope you can join us. Thanks a lot. Take care.